got to grab the.
I've
got a few maps and that if you want to have a look at them. But yeah.
Yeah, man.
Just go through it.
So
Yeah.
what you say then, mate? You got a few.
I've got some maps and stuff if you want to have a look at stuff like that.
Yeah, good stuff, mate.
So yeah.
Well, we've got a couple of legends joining us too, mate, besides yourself today. We've got Tom Barnett, who's going to be here any minute with Lucious Borich, the drummer from Cog, mate, who is I think he's the drummer from the Hanging Tree too. The band
right.
Hanging Tree. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, mate. So it's nice to have some other legends on board to have a great day.
Yeah. So where's this going to go up on your YouTube or?
Yeah, mate, I was going to put up my YouTube. Mate, I'd love it if you could share too. I'll send you a copy.
Let me know and I'll share the link. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I can do that for sure. Yeah, I did the Sergeant report this morning with Dave Weiss. So that was.
Wow, I was just listening to Dave for about 4 hours today, mate.
Yeah, he's a hard-working man. He's actually off to Mexico in a few days to go see Santos.
Is he really? Wow.
Yeah. So how is Santos? You know, I haven't.
Mate, last message I got from him was like yesterday, I think, and Tom's just messaged me now. Santos, he said he's not doing too good, mate. So hopefully he starts feeling better soon, but I know he's been battling, like, he had a mad itching thing when he was when he was sort of up the road from me, and he was, so it's been.
That sounds like Morgellons. Is that more like, does he have more like Morgellons? Do you know, like?
Yeah, I think he's
little fibers in you that, yeah.
He thinks that, like, there's been some sort of, you know, I think he's onto it, the targeting him. But yeah, the poor bugger, mate. I tried to get him on board today as well. Oh, here's Lucious.
Yeah.
Welcome, Lucious.
I should know. Oh, hang on, I'm going to turn some lights on.
Hey, Lucious, can you hear us, mate?
I can, yes, check 2.
Whoa.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, my friend, I got you.
Yes, how
fantastic.
You going?
I can't see everybody. Everybody who's on the call, the participants. There we go.
Yeah, I'm doing really well, mate. Well, I should have Tom on board any sec as well. But,
fantastic.
Really glad you could make it today, Lucius. It's a real pleasure to, mate. I think we've had like friends of friends for years, mate, and I never got to meet you. And many years ago, I think I got to jam in your recording or one of your rehearsal spaces with JT and Shani. Remember?
Oh, so that was in Sydney.
Back in Sydney, mate. Yeah.
So that would have been, was that studio 101?
Breaking up a bit there.
Yeah, breaking up a bit there, Lucius.
Are you using a plug-in microphone, Lucius? Sounds like the connection's not the best. Hey, Tom.
Cambell, how are
you? Good.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Gary.
How are you, mate? Sorry about the stuff up at the time.
Yeah, that's all right. Am I real echoey? Can you hear a big echo?
You're a bit echoey.
Hang on, here comes Tom.
Well, let me go grab my headphones.
Yep.
Cool, mate. And Lucius, how you going, my friend? It seems we sort of
No, not a plug-in microphone.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of breakup. It sounds like it's not plugged in properly, or it might be a bent wire or something.
Or the Wi-Fi sort of not really kicking in. The pick, like your pick hasn't changed for a bit there, mate.
Maybe it sometimes helps if you like go out and come back in again, Lucius.
Can you hear?
Almost.
I haven't got the best reception.
Okay, we heard you there. Okay, we got
How's
movement.
Yeah, we've got a bit of
That's
movement.
sounding better. Yeah.
Sounding better, yeah.
That sounds better, does it?
Yep. Yep. We can hear you now. You're not breaking up. Yep.
Okay, I've just stepped outside. Let me open this.
Cool. I'll just be 1 second. I'll have a little.
How's that, Campbell? Is that any better?
Say again. Speak again.
Is that better? Is it still echoey? Sounding a bit better?
It's about the
Sounds
same.
better. Sounds good.
Oh, does it sound
Sounds
better?
very
Okay, there you go. It sounds better. It must just be me.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
just
too
this
echo, it's just, yeah, it's a little bit like, yeah. Like
reverby. It's this room. It's a real big room.
It's fine. It's
yeah, you'll be fine.
Tom.
Good,
Yeah,
yeah.
Cool. I think we're cooking. I think we've all right. What a combo.
All right.
Who's starting it? Is this Campbell's one or is this Gary's one?
Gary's
Cool.
the man.
Yeah, so it's a real pleasure to have you all here. It's awesome to have such legends to have a chat with about such an awesome topic that a lot of people just either laugh off or run away from. You know, and you know, I've been telling people the truth hurts all my life. And hence the name of my YouTube channel. And mate, yeah, I just the mention of those two words, flat earth, it really seems to trigger, I guess is the word, a lot of people. Yeah, and it's really great to have you guys on board to, you know, talk about such a topic that's really, mate, really close to my heart. First time I heard those two words was probably about 6 years ago. And I was just saying to my wife earlier, mate, I just was like, I knew then. It was not about believing, you know, you believe in Santa, you believe in God. Mate, I just knew there and then it was a knowing. 2 words. And I just went, wow. And mate, the irony is I got a when I was 18, I got a like the Hitler swastika tattooed on my ankle when I was 18. And I came back from schoolies and my dad wanted to kill me. And I just liked the design. I didn't know, and I thought I didn't care what anyone thought, mate. Now I know more than ever why I never cared what anyone thought.
That's a good symbol. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll break the back of that one for you. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's mate, that was my introduction to the tattoo world. But yeah, like mate, even that, you know, as we know, the swastika is Polaris, you know, the Big Dipper with the 4 seasons going around Polaris. It's an ancient symbol that's been seen through so many different civilizations over the years and depicted in so many you know, artwork and artifacts that we find from these. And I just love the way that everything is just being
Inverted.
Thanks, brother. You know, and they put the I think when we were talking about this the other day, Cam was, you know, was saying they've made that symbol, they've turned it into, you know, Hitler, whether it even happened, the biggest killer in the world, apparently one of them, you know, killed all these people. You know, and his symbol of death was the swastika, which is the flat earth symbol, you know. But yeah, so I could just keep going on all day, guys, but I guess I wanted to sort of ask you guys, if that's okay to ask you guys how you guys found out about this and sort of when, and how it's changed your connection with the world around you. So anyway, feel free. Anyone want to start? But I'd love to hear that from like each of you.
Yeah, sure.
We'll jump in.
You're up, Lucius.
Well, I've always been a one to kind of ask questions, and it kind of started really early at high school. And that used to get me into a bit of a trouble when I was at high school, asking questions. And, for me, it was curiosity, I guess, had a big curiosity about things. Yeah. And I'm a drummer. I play drums. And I was curious about, music first and foremost. So, I kind of got into that. As you probably know, many, many years of study, research, learning the craft, trying to understand what drumming is, what it's about, what it entails, all the different dynamics.
Sort of losing you there again, brother.
All the different, what it's made. That's not good.
Maybe. Yeah, it's great. How's that for you guys?
Fine. I'll just get outside because it might be my echo here.
It's sort of just, it's just making your voice sound a bit robotic, mate. Yeah, so, mate, you're always inquisitive.
Is that a bit better?
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's the echo in the room, so it's kind of,
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, can you hear me okay now? Thumbs up,
Yeah,
all right?
it's a lot better, yep.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so just very inquisitive about drumming music, what music has to offer. And I think basically for me, it was a really deep dive into so many different styles of music, so many different attributes of drumming. And, that was a long time studying, asking questions about music. I came from a musical family and everything. So that was my, I felt like that was my real first kind of instinct into trying to understand something. What has that got to do with flat Earth? Well, it's got everything to do with it because it's, like a lot of other things as well, being curious about, a subject or something that you're interested in. You tend to, spiral down into it and really pull out as much as you can from it to understand it. And I did that in music. And I became a musician, and I've spent my whole life obviously playing music, making, paying my way through music. And, when it came down to having a look at this subject called Flat Earth, I knew I had to have the same type of instinctual kind of drilling down into something and take an interest and really find out, for myself, all these things I'd been hearing. And it's not like it was a new topic or anything to some degree, because I'd always heard the Earth was flat, and the notion was that people used to think the Earth was flat.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were kind of crazy for thinking that. So 1,000 type of, when it started to kick off a bit more, so to speak, on the internet, there was always a rumbling in the back of my mind that people, the common man anyway, the common man who stood on the Earth, always had the perspective of seeing, of understanding, of feeling that it was somewhat flat from his perspective. So I always remember just going, well, if that was a place of observation back in the day, from the common man, so to speak, who stands and witnesses things from that perspective, I can understand that would be true if that's the way they would have thought back then. And yeah, for for a long time. I mean, you just heard those type of things, and you always knew that well, you didn't know, but you believed through indoctrination and obviously schooling and whatnot that the Earth was actually a ball. And I guess that became part of my belief system for a long time. But I like the understanding of trying to get into my musical world and drill down into that and understand that. I took the same approach when I did other research into other things as well. And I think it was about 2010, I think, is when I was kind of really looking into things about the law and legal and lawful and how the system is set up through, the contractual obligations that we have and the interactions we have with the system through contracts. And that was really interesting to me, going through that system of learning. And I applied the same approach as I do with drumming and music. I drilled down into that. And I really tried to understand something. And that was really fascinating. And that was something that was tangible, because I could see the instruments that you use in the system. And I could, basically, over a period of time, trial and error and test things out, as they like to say, the application of science is to test things out, see if it comes true or not. So I used to do quite a few of those type of things within the legal and lawful realms of trying to understand what's going on in contract world, right, with what we all basically are engaged in at the moment. So that was a big understanding going through that element. And I went through lots of other interesting rabbit holes throughout my time, of researching, because as I said before, going to school when I was younger, I always questioned a lot, and questioning to me has always been an area of fun. It's always been a place of exploration, a place where I can have this.
Questioning's not allowed.
Yeah, I know that's in other people's minds, but not in mine.
Well, mate, they made me repeat year one.
Yeah, well, I did that too.
Questions.
I did that too. And the questions, basically, what I long story short there is, after a long time of going down different types of rabbit holes and things like that, I ended up, hearing when I was, really traveling through this citizenship, maritime, admiralty law state of the world that we're in through contracts, and I started hearing these reverberations of flat Earth within that framework, and I was kind of curious, because I was shaking my head, kind of going, well, what's that got to do with what I'm learning now or understanding now? And I kind of parked it to the side, and I didn't really pay too much, creed to it. But slowly but surely, things started just, inserting themselves in really interesting ways into my field of vision and lens. And I started to go. I always thought to myself that, there's something up with NASA. That never sat right, quite right with me when I was younger. Anyway, as a child, even, although I was quite, you could say that to some degree I was in awe of what was possible, or what I believed was
landing
possible.
on the moon in something, tight, like sticky taped up and using band-aids and aluminium foil. I think they were searching for people like us, mate. I think they were like, it's like one of those things. It's so ridiculous. Look at this. Like, they landed on the moon. This thing, like, we're trying.
It didn't make sense to me to believe it wholeheartedly. There was a part of me that was, intrigued, and kind of knew the rest of the world believed it and understood that to be somewhat true in the narrative. But in my mind, I still had questions against that. But I didn't delve into that. I didn't, I just thought, hang on, I've seen other things and people questioning it and whatever. So I always had a reservation there. And the other reservation I had with NASA anyway was I thought, well, there's too much money and there's too much manpower and all sorts of things going into something that, in terms of resources, could go to other areas of communities and earthly. What's that?
$52 million a day, mate. They get.
Yeah, so I always thought to myself, regardless of what I understand now and whether the earth is a ball or flat or whatever, the resources and time and the management and the skills or whatever skills they think they're doing, whatever's going into those projects, could go somewhere better, obviously better applicated for different things on the earth, for sure, and what people are experiencing and having a hard time with, and where those resources could be put, absolutely monetarily wise. So I parked that for a little while, but that obviously came back into my field after I started going, well, hang on a minute. I've looked at all these other types of things, researched all these other types of areas, always had questions in my mind about, different rabbit holes, and obviously, studied music and really applied that skill of trying to really understand that instrument and musical realm, if you will, and apply that to all other areas. And when I got to that flat earth thing, it was like, well, I think I'm going to have to do the same here, and I'm going to have to give it a little bit of time, and I'm going to have to, kind of go, well, I've always been landing. Well, I don't quite know. I've always known that the common man, has always, back in the day, they said it was flat. There's lots of other lies. There's lots of other different things going on in terms of subversion, deception, flipping narratives, lies, and all the rest of it. And I thought, well, I better have a look at this one. And so I did. I basically came across a video which was quite intriguing to me, and it was by a chap called Math Powerland, and I think I owe a lot to that guy, to Math Powerland. I don't know if you know of him, but he's an artist, and he's a comedian to some degree, a stand-up kind of comedian. He's an incredible artist, actually.
Yeah.
And he's the one that really kind of put some kind of things in front of me that I couldn't quite deny. And when I tried to go, well, I'll have a look at this, and I'll I've always liked asking questions. I've always tried to drill deep into things, and he just had some points and made some points to me that I couldn't deny at all. And the one was, well, it doesn't feel right to say that you know that it's a ball. You only believe that it's a ball. And at that point, everything fell away, because he kind of really highlighted something for me that I'd never quite seen before, which was that's true. Like I've only ever believed that it was a ball. Everything I've been taught, I've never really, had tried to, have a really good look at it. And it doesn't feel right to say I know that it's a ball, because I've never seen it from that perspective. So he painted this incredible kind of, well, it's just an artwork of the earth, really. But he made a T-shirt, and a friend of mine actually bought me the T-shirt. And this is it, really. This is one of the ones that kind of spoke a lot. Is it a photo, or is it a?
Yeah.
And
that's an American guy. I know the bloke. Yeah. Yeah, great.
And that's one of his original shirts that I got from him. A friend of mine actually bought it for me, and
it's true love.
There was a lot. There was a lot more that went into, obviously, from what he said from that point, and bringing up all other senses of questioning the whole narrative of what it is, and then I just couldn't turn away from it. I couldn't turn away from it, and I must have been definitely on the path every day, having a look at this subject for about three years, I reckon. And that was before that was before I said anything to anyone, really, apart from say my wife. I just didn't say anything. I didn't want to, tell people, have discussions about it. I really stayed focused on just trying to go, well, what are other people saying? What's the questions that are out there? What do I need to look here to try and understand why this is such a popular thing on the internet at the moment? And I just, from that point, I went to other different types of researchers, and that opened up a can of worms, a lot of other things. And at this point in time, 2022, I'll never ever go back to the ball ever again. And that spell is broken, and it doesn't. I don't need to convince anybody else.
Gotcha.
I don't need to convince anybody else that it's flat. I don't need to try to sell it to anyone, because I think this is a very personal thing. I think this is a very individual relationship with yourself and your environment, to where, as the witness, that becomes the most powerful point of observation, and therefore no other spells can kind of pull you into some other type of belief system which someone has but you can't have the ability to prove to yourself, like, getting on turning something around and taking a photo and going, well, I guess that place where I live is a ball. That ability is not there. So the only ability I have as the common man, going back to what they used to say, which was the common man would say, even if you got, to the highest mountain peak, the majority would say, well, it's a level, it looks level to me, looks pretty flat to me. So yeah, that was kind of that's a little bit of a rundown of, where I'm at with it. And it's quite a exciting place and time to be if that becomes some type of renaissance in the human mind, to where we hold the exploration of something that's not been of the real estate that we're on. From there, they can mold anything. And while we still have the application of in our own minds and in our own sense, five sensory and exploration of seeing what is true, because we have been lied to so much in so many different areas, that's an exciting place to be. And I think that's a place of real empowerment as well, especially for the individual, spiritually as well.
Yeah, that's right, mate. It really few really interesting points you've touched on, mate, that I like, that it's a personal thing. For me, it was so personal that I wanted to shout it in everyone's face.
Yeah, so, once you get it, it's like that's it. That's it. You've just, like, there's no going back to the ball. It's unbelievable.
That's it, my friend.
Done.
Yeah. Well, mate, thanks for that. I really appreciate your insight and how you got into it, mate. And it's really interesting how everyone's got different ways they heard about it. Like Cambell mentioned when we were chatting, mate, that people came to his door, knocking at his door, saying, you got to look into this.
Yeah, I refused.
So elaborate a little bit on that, brother.
Yeah, I was, it was probably 7 years ago for me as well. Like right at the start, I sort of, happened to come across it. And I was at that time, I was in Facebook, and I was like in a lot of groups as admin and stuff. And so everyone just started, Flat Earth started appearing, and I took the easy, the easy sort of excuse. Everyone was saying, oh, it's just a psyop and all this. And so I went there, and then I thought, oh, well, maybe then I saw the videos of the horizon. I thought, well, maybe it's just a really big ball. And so with the bit where I was flat, then you worked out, you go, well, that won't work either, it just won't. And so, but yeah, I resisted and literally had two people come to my house and they'd tell me I had to look into flat Earth. And at that point I just went, oh, well, I guess I will. And it was parallax that really sort of cemented it for me is, the stars don't move, they never move. And sort of being, someone who looks into history and different times and the great year and all this kind of stuff, that none of that works. None of it works at all on a ball spinning through space. We lose the ages, we lose the stars going around in a clock. It's just gone. It's so, yeah, that's what really got me is that
Mach
just doesn't...
88 we're spinning at too, mate, around the sun. Like you see what Mach 1 does to a pilot. They're like,
yeah.
88 we're spinning around the sun.
And on an angle, like on an ellipse as well, which gives you more G-force. But yet we have, crystal clear lakes and all this kind of stuff. And then the whole gravity, and everything's getting sucked down to Earth, but how come planets aren't getting sucked into each other? How come the moon's not getting sucked down? And how come butterflies can fly? Like when you start asking the questions, none of it, it's like history, none of it makes sense. But the thing is, most people won't ask that question because it literally is one of the first things after spelling, of course, that they teach you, right? Here are the planets. This is their names. This is where they are. This is the ball. This is where you live.
That's it.
And so it becomes something that we don't even question. It's like, things that your mum and dad teach, like ethics and things that you don't really ever think about, but they're always there sort of running your reality. And I think that's what it is. And people just don't want to go there, and also probably don't want to admit that they've believed, a joke for most of their lives.
Yeah. I love the saying, mate, it's easier to, it's easier to basically lie to someone than tell them they're being lied to.
Yeah, it's easier to lie to someone than convince them that they've been lied to. Yeah. That's true.
And the bigger the lie, the more people will believe it.
That's right. That's the crazy thing, mate, because it puts that in their mind, like, what, they're all in on it? It's like, yeah.
Well, they don't have to be, because kind of everybody is in on it, because everyone just tells each other that's what it is.
Exactly.
When it comes from the perspective of it being a ball, everyone just goes, well, that's what it is. Don't you know that? So everyone becomes complicit in the lie, even though they don't know that they themselves are complicit in the lie. It's a self-replicating, energetic lie that keeps spiraling on.
That they want to keep pushing, and it just seems like, what a great time there for minds like ours to get out of this chat tonight. And it's opening up, you don't realize, but the doors, the people, like, sort of, they're seeing these vids, man, and they're still not saying anything, but they message me, mate.
And that's understandable. That's understandable too, that people don't want to have a bar of it. Because if it is true, that shatters a lot. And that to rebuild that reality after however many years of indoctrination you've had experiencing on this earth from what the mainstream narrative tells you, to try and rebuild that from the bottom up is too confronting. I mean, I just feel that I've just been very lucky, because I've loved living in the realm of possibility. The realm of questioning, the realm of being so open to all types of information. Doesn't matter what it is.
Knowledge is everything.
That to me, that to me is being in the here and now. Because it's a very sacred place, I think, in the sense of self, that you can explore. And no one can kind of have it over you, in the sense that your tent is pitched, and you can't go anywhere else. I just like that absolute exploration of your own mind and possibility. Always love that, and it's always been good for to fuel artistic ventures like songs and I think to be able to have anything to offer to a society artistically, if you can come from different angles and different places of questioning and perhaps things you're trying to understand that's not the mainstream, that's not typical, that can actually invoke really good artistic stuff within inside yourself through different types of songs or painting or art or whatever. And I think that's always been the case. Artists have always done that.
We're creators, mate. We're human beings, and we're meant to be here to create. We're not, they want us to be in the rat race, the human race, and we've got to finish their days, mate, and just show that. And the interesting thing is that, like Cambell touched on in a lot of videos, I'm a real big fan of Cambell, that we have the ability to create what we want, and that's what they don't want us to know. So that's a big thing that they're hiding from us.
Always God. Yeah.
And yeah, man, I guess I'll throw the ball over to Mr. Barnett for a second, and just I haven't asked you yet, mate, and because has it been a long time since this subject's sort of been in your life, mate, and you've been like keeping it to yourself, or is it something that you stumbled across recently? Or please,
well, look, the first thing is I was exposed to it probably 10 years ago, roughly. And because I saw one of these docos on YouTube, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, every single part, I'm like, can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. There was two things that they didn't explain that I thought I'm like, yeah, it all sounds good, but they can't explain those two things. So kind of put it aside. And then the thing is that at the end, it basically made this conclusion that we're the center of a non-moving universe, therefore God loves us, therefore we've got significance. And I'm like, it's just some religious people who are disempowered trying to feel like they're empowered, because even if we were spinning in this nothingness and we're specks amongst billions of other things, I still didn't feel insignificant. I still felt loved. I still felt significant, powerful, empowered. So it didn't make sense to me. I was like, they just need a reason to think that they mean something, because they feel like they don't mean anything. So I brushed it off for years and years and years. And then it was only until probably a few months after I put out my virus video. So what's that now, 2 years ago? Something like that. I was chatting to a girl in Canada who was just going, so what do you think about flat Earth? And I'm like, I was kind of like, it's nice that you think that, but this, and then, but that, but I can explain this. And she's just going, no, but this, and no, but that. So shout out to Amy Rose Rewilding in Canada, who was just like, kind of like laughing, because I was almost not patronizing her, but just going, it's cute that you think that, but let me explain to you how it's not, me with my science background, and I can recite astrophysics, I'll tell you how it is. And she's just kind of laughing, I'd just go, no, but what about like the shape of an eye or the shape of an atom and that? She'd send me a picture of an eye, and I'm like, that's not what I thought it would look like. And then Coriolis Effect, and then all this sort of stuff. And she's just like, no, it's pretty flat. And I'm just going, I can't argue with this anymore. And the best thing about that was that it brought me back down, like it humbled me a lot, because I was like, you know what? I was so sure that anyone that thought the earth was flat was an idiot, and that I knew the answers. And, we all have expertise in various areas, and some of us do know a lot about certain things. Lush is a bloody world-class drummer. I can't argue with him on that. But if he started trying to tell me that the earth was a triangle and the moon's made of cheese, I'd be like, Lush, come on, mate, because we've all got, and I was like that. I was like, I thought I was right. So the thing that it gave me the most was an aspect of humility. And then what it's done since then is it's been the unraveling of so many other realities, where it just comes down to not just a feeling or a knowing or an egotistical thing of, I'm important anyway, because I'm a Leo and I'm a whatever, that all kind of, you think that you're great anyway. And then I'm just like, no, well, hang on, like what power do we really have? If this is the center of everything, and this is for us, and the Bible says we have dominion, and it's like, well, hang on. It's not just this evolutionary thing that we happen to be here, and we're a bit smart and we can build computers and crap. It's like, well, no, this means a lot more now. And then the discovery, that the mind-blowing thing for me was other land. I'm like, if this isn't the known lands, I'm like, what? There's more stuff out there. Come on, like you can't write this stuff. This is the best life. Like, how could you ever be bored knowing that there is this to explore?
Exactly.
And
What does it matter though, mate? What's it matter? I love that one. What's it matter?
Yeah, well, no. I used to agree with that because I used to say it doesn't matter if the Earth's flat, round, it doesn't exist. It's a hologram. It doesn't affect how we treat each other. You know, it doesn't matter. That's what I used to say as well. I was like, that doesn't affect how I treat myself, how much reverence I have for nature, whatever shape nature is, you know. And I used to have that argument too. But then when you realize that, no, that's like pretty much the ultimate psyop. So you break that and you're breaking a massive spell. So yes, it does matter a lot. At least that's how I feel now.
Exactly. It's so good to hear that.
And basically, you know, one of the commandments is don't lie. And if this is built on a lie, it has to be exposed. And, you know, not that we have to kind of go out there with swords and try and, you know, make people believe it by any means, but slowly but surely, like a virus, there are millions and millions of people that are waking up to this, and they're starting to question, and they're starting to go, hang on a second, what is this real estate that I'm on? You know, the commodity, you know, what is this? Is there more land? You know, only told us a fragment of what there is out there. I mean, if you've got the technology to just explore the earth through ships and whatever means over a period of time, you know, why give, you know, all the mappage and all of the real estate to all the common people and tell them where it is? Why would you do that? You're probably better off saying, well, we'll let them understand some of where it is, or we'll let them understand, you know, this portion or that portion, but, you know, let's not give them the whole real estate, you know, of what we're actually here and what we're actually on, because, you know, more resources, more land, you know, what does that say? I mean, that says a lot.
Well, Admiral Byrd told us that in a video many years ago, mate, and it's still on YouTube. I can't believe it's still up there. You can still watch it. And he's
a Longines chronoscope.
Yeah, that's it, brother. And it's sends shivers up my spine, that vid. And yeah, I first watched that, and he tells you, mate, he says there's a lot of it. I love it how he mentions the North Pole too. He goes, a lot going on up there, like up or in there, but. And then he says about the South Pole, a lot of interest. You know, every country's interested, a lot of untapped resources, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the one that kind of, you know, really, really spoke a lot to me too, was Antarctica. You know, when I started to look at the Antarctic Treaty and what's going on there. And I mean, if misery and this problem and this argument, if you want to call it that, or this debate, you know, let us independently, you know, have exploration going from one coastline to the other coastline, which is, you know, predominantly, let's just say, as big as Australia, Antarctica, or maybe a bit bigger. But if it is a ball, you should be able to go to one coastline to the other and cross it. But as we know, no one's allowed to go there and independently do exploration and kind of research for themselves to actually see if that's true. You know, and then you ask the question, well, why is that? You know, and then there's a whole bit of, you know, a whole rabbit hole of research into Antarctica, which is fascinating to have a look at, you know, if you want to spend the time.
Yeah, well, it's what is it? We don't know. And that's, you know, where Cambell and I are working on building an airship soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna launch it from Tasmania.
That's it. Just go.
And of course, Tasmania in the old maps is Antarctica. Australia is literally Antarctica. If you go back a couple of 100 years, all the maps, we're connected to all this extra land. Like there's so many maps, and of course, everyone's probably seen Hyperborea, but there's so many other maps with it's just showing land on the outside, more land on the inside, and I reckon, you know, I think there's a massive continent in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
You know, no one's allowed to, no one goes there, no one flies there, ships don't go there. And it's literally, you know, on their ball, it's half the ball is just ocean.
Yeah.
And then in some old maps, they show this landmass out there. So
yeah, well, good luck with that, because now they got us in lockdown. You can't even go from state to state. So
well, that's what they want.
It's kind of it's basically saying your days as exploration are over, common man. You ain't going anywhere. You know, and if you want to cross that border, even just from New South Wales to Queensland or whatever, you need a pass. or we're going to be watching you and tracking you. So, you know, whether this topic got so big and was starting to really fire up, you know, in such a way that they have to come over the top with something else to kind of squash it or divert attention away from it. It's another interesting thing you can, you know, pull into this conversation, because, you know, to me it was like, so there's so many people that I know, so many people, you know, that haven't kind of, you know, they're not on the internet or whatever, but they're absolutely willing and they're absolutely upfront, you know, in conversations that I have, that, you know, they're questioning what the real estate is, you know, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and there's lots of them too. There's lots of people, and that's really encouraging, because it's although you know, at times you could feel like, oh, there's something that you personally feel and know and type of, you know, and understand with what you've researched. You know, when you get together with different types of people that are open-minded, they're all asking the same thing, and I found that fascinating. I found that really encouraging as well. You know, and it's not like a dirty conversation, or it's not something that's kind of you know, embarrassing to kind of communicate through. It's like it's got an air of exciting that the common man has lost, is a certain ability of excitement, you know, that we who have, you know, and I'm talking about the common man, because when I say that, I mean, you know, obviously the common people who can only jump so high off the earth, you know, with their own force of jumping in the air, you know, or they can get to 30,000 feet in a plane. That's about it. But the rest, you know,
No, buy yourself.
What are you going to do?
Buy yourself a ticket.
You know, what are you
going
to do?
Plane, mate. Or Elon Musk. You can go up with Elon.
You can tell it's real.
Elon's going to take you up to space soon, mate.
You can tell it's real because it looks fake.
Oh, that car,
Mr. Musk.
Imagine the heat in the thermosphere. It's like 3,500 degrees, right? It's hotter than a kiln, and that car's up there cruising.
I caught that, mate. I didn't realize when I first saw that. I didn't realize that he was being serious. Like, I caught it a few weeks after it came out, and I was just like, "Is this just a stupid ad or something?" And then when I heard that they were actually saying that was real, I was just like, "You've got to be kidding! No one would believe that, apart from people with Elon Musk in their eyes, right? And all the stars, because they're so invested, right? And it's like Tom sort of said, you know, they know everything, that they can explain all the physics, they know how it all works, and that's their point of power. And so they're so invested, you know, you take that away and it's like, oh, you know, now we're at the bottom of the class again.
And just remember, mate, Elon is a massive puppet. And
Elon was in, I saw a clip this morning, he was in Iron Man, the original Iron Man in 2010. He's got a walk on, and he's called Elon Musk.
He's an actor. And just remember, we've spoken about this before, I know, but the dude, one of the dudes, you know, there was Walt Disney and Werner von Braun, who started NASA. And not only did he have, you know, a paragraph on his tombstone about the firmament. Okay, he actually wrote a book about a boy called Elon who goes to Mars. And here we are with Elon, the puppet, going to Mars. And people just don't batter an eyelid. It's just brilliant, mate. You know, it's the stupidity.
I was building. My neighbor invited me over to his house to help me build some structure a couple of months ago, and his dad was there helping build as well. And I was, you know, holding up one of the pillars, and he leaned over and he goes, "Oh, can you go and grab the spirit level?" And I went, "Yeah, no worries." And I picked us a real big long one. And I picked that up and I thought to myself, this will be fun. This is a little bit of a, let's see what his reaction will be if I say a couple of things here. Might twig his brain. Really nice people, you know, these people live across the road from here. And I reached over and I handed him the spirit level and I said, do you reckon if you put that on every inch of the earth, it'd tell you the same thing? Like every inch of the earth, you just plonked it everywhere, it would keep telling you the same thing. And I said, what do you think it'd tell you? He goes, well, I would tell you, oh shit. And he's like demeanor, just like, even just something that simple, just twigged and twitched in him. And he was like, holy shit. And I said, yeah, it's interesting because, you know, they didn't call it a, you know, like a building level or a dirt level or a concrete level or a, you know, they've called it a spirit level, you know. And the thing to me with this flat earth thing, the thing to me with this flat earth thing was water. And, you know, that water has a consistency once it's you know, sitting in its resting state. That's where it likes to be, is completely flat, and its equilibrium is that, and it doesn't matter which way you know, as they've got the gyroscopes and things like that. And a spirit level, as you know, the ball of water in there, it'll always tell you, you know. And it was interesting to see someone's reaction straight off with just something as simple as that, because that got him thinking. And although, you know, people might even laugh at that, there was an experiment that a guy did, which I found was really interesting. His name's Daryl. You might have come across him, American guy, and he got on a plane and he had a spirit level on the plane, and he filmed the spirit level on the plane as he traveled from the East Coast to West Coast, and he timed it, fast lapsed it, but timed it, and he just, you know, basically had the camera fixed on the spirit level. So and he was trying to, you know, basically explain and prove that as he flies, and this can, you know, 500 miles per hour in I think he was in America somewhere, but it basically, you know, told him from that distance, which was from east to west coast, that it was flat, you know, just through using that spirit level and the water constant of it being at resting point, you know, which is to me, if the earth is, you know, fundamentally, you know, 80% water, as they like to say, or as we understand it, and the body has some type of, you know, plasma, water, you know, soluble parts of ourselves, you know, that equilibrium, if it's not in its right spirit, it's out. It's completely out. It's distorted. It's not, you know, representation of the true reality that you're experiencing. So water for me was like a huge, you know, opening into this whole rabbit hole with flat earth. And I just absolutely couldn't deny that, you know. Any way I looked at it, it was like, wow, that's a really big one, you know.
Yeah, and once you start doing real science, like natural science, you know, it has to be observable, testable, and repeatable. Like all the truth comes to light, you know. And
they call it the horizon because it's horizontal.
You know,
right, you know the funny thing about that?
There's just so many proofs. I often just say to people, give me one. Just give me man to man. Just man to man. Just tell me why you think you live on a spinning ball. And mate, they can't give you one.
Yeah, well, you know the horizon thing, right? You know how the horizon people say you can see the curvature of the earth. You know that one?
Yeah.
So that's the power. That's the power of suggestion. Like, you know how people will be sitting in their homes and they'll watch the TV and it's summer and they're like, this is global warming and we're all going to die in 12 years, and they're sweating. It's like, oh, climate change, and it's like, dude, it's summer and it's actually cooler than it was, you know, 10 years ago. But the power of suggestion makes them freak out. And I remember being in places with my dad at lookouts, and not very high, like we don't have very high peaks in Australia, especially compared to America or Europe. And he's going, look, you can even see the curvature of the earth. And I'm looking and I'm going, I can't see it, but the power of suggestion is making me go, yeah, I think I can see. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though my eyes couldn't see it, the power of suggestion led me to believe that, yeah, I'm up high enough that I can see the curvature of the earth, or in a high residential tower.
Yeah. Our eyes are round and our lenses are round. So we are going to, you know, there's going to be some form of, and, you know, yeah, the horizon, mate, is a cracker because, and water, as we said, they're awesome proofs, you know, that what's really happening. And people, the most simplest one of all is you go up in a plane, that the horizon line will always stay level. And, you know, when we had amateur balloonists, so I'm sweating it up, guys, when we had amateur balloonists sending up balloons up to 120,000 feet, what did Neil deGrasse Tyson then do? He changed his, you know, his ball, his goalpost.
His open spheroid.
Yeah, he said it was well. That was one of the ones that really, you know, made me open my eyes too, because I couldn't deny, you know, he's sitting in a lecture and he's standing there and he goes, well, it's not a perfect sphere. What we actually believe it or know it as is a oblate spheroid, which is more pear-shaped. And I said to myself, well, those images that I see that are images that are, you know, two-dimensional on a screen or in a book or whatever, they look like a pretty perfectly round ball to me from what you're telling me. And then to you know, be in this lecture that you're in, and now you're saying that, you know, it's an oblate spheroid, which is more pear-shaped. I mean, that made me even more curious to want to look at what was going on, because I start going, well, this guy's, you know, basically telling me something that what I'm looking at on an iPhone or a computer screen or a you know, a television screen or any of these screening, you know, two-dimensional things, it looks like a perfect ball, a sphere, you know, but now you're telling me it's not. So I mean, you know, that all of a sudden also made me go, well, what's going on here?
Well, mate,
I found the other thing that was interesting too, just going back to the horizon, when people were starting to, you know, because now they have a sense of technology that they can test things out. I mean, if they came up with this stuff, you know, 500 years ago, you know, the theories, and it was just, you know, it's a ball and, you know, that's what we're on. And but they're just theories. They've still got no proof. They've just got mathematical equations. They've just got, you know, all these types of theories. But it wasn't until the actual moon landing event that they could actually, you know, take a camera, turn it around, focus it on the ball and say, see, told you, you live on a ball. Now you believe us. This is the church of NASA, and now you believe us, right? So it wasn't, you know, people didn't have, you know, much technology back then to try and hold the truth of what they were witnessing, which it was flat from their perspective, right? But mate, now
this is an
we've got different types of technologies. We've got technologies that the common man can now use to test those theories that we were sold, you know, through the ball theory or the ball model, and one was standing obviously on one coastline, and then, you know, seeing another coastline basically, which is supposed to be a certain distance, and really, if it was a ball, you know, that should be below a certain amount of curvature, and that, you know, person standing on that coastline using those optics, especially, you know, lens optics or whatever, shouldn't be able to see you know, that landmass at all. It should be disappearing over some type of curve. And I found that really intriguing. I found that really fascinating. I found, you know, with many experiments done that people were doing, which I found, you know, exciting to kind of like be part of. Wow, okay, people are really testing this out. You know, they're really trying to see the distance, because the circumference of the ball model that they've given us is a mathematical equation. So it can be broken down. So when it gets broken down, and people try to test it, and they have tested it, and they've gone, well, that should be below that amount of curvature, and then from this point of you know, coastline to that other coastline, or it should be below that. So, you know, that's pretty interesting. That, you know, and as we know, the old kind of like the ships on the horizon, you know, disappearing. Well, people have the optics now to go past that and to bring it back into focus, and it hasn't gone below any curvature at all. It's just now, you know, now you're kind of, you know, you can focus through a certain type of technology which the common man never had back in the day. You know,
I just wanted to touch upon, mate, like, with, you got to remember this narrative that we've been flung as well, this common man that we can refer to, which they will say was so stupid. People were so stupid 200 years ago. Mate, this is what they're telling us, right? People weren't stupid 200, 300 years ago. The whole thing, all that, we used to be very smart. And even up until 100 years ago, they were teaching flat earth. And in a school in America, there was a guy actually started to try to teach the heliocentric model, which is the Bohr model. And mate, he nearly got hung at the stake or hung at off a tree or whatever. You know? But so I guess what I was trying to say, that the whole history, mate, has been, that too is a lie. So when you look into the past, our ancestors were actually really intelligent, mate. The cavemen, that never happened. Dinosaurs, not real.
No.
This is all a fallacy.
Paleolithic didn't exist.
You know, cavemen.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
The ancients, mate. They want to try to make fun of how dumb we were for believing in the flat earth and all this sort of stuff, you know? But,
or is it just a test? You know, it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He comes out and says the most stupid stuff, looks ridiculous. To me, he's there to wake people up. It's like saying, can't you see this? I mean, to come out and say it's now an oblate spheroid with that has a ring around the equator that's what 30 miles high or some stupid crap. And then when he came out and he did that mic drop thing.
Oh my God.
I really think that is there so that anyone with a brain takes a second look and goes, hang on, this guy's not scientific. He's not saying what's in so you can look at it either way, can't you? You know, I mean, I really don't see that he's doing any good at all for science. He's just making it look ridiculous. And so even the people that are way into the physics and space and all this stuff, they got to be, starting to question things. If they're going, hang on, this is, the high priest of science, that guy's an idiot. So I think, and everything, right? Everything at the moment is making us question everything. So, you can look at it both ways.
What about
the only thing they have in space is people's imagination. That's the only thing they have in space. And the whole point of this is that the common man can't test things out for himself. So he has to believe in an institution, in a corporation like NASA. That's basically what this is. It's like a
authority. That's what they're doing. They hand over their powers to authority, and they do that through their science. And they do it in all areas, mate. And I don't know anything. They know best. I'll leave it up to them. This is the stupid common man, brother. And mate, it's really interesting times. I mean, a lot of these guys have got the Jabberwocky, I'd say. So it's funny how no flat earthers are lining up for the Jabberwocky.
No.
Yeah, probably.
It's a good way to get under the radar. And so is history. You don't have to talk about what's going on now, but you can still prove to people that everything the government says is a lie. It's just a story. And you
can ask most people that, can't you? You can ask most people that, do the governments lie? And even the ones that are buying the narrative of what we're going through at the moment, they'll say, yeah, governments lie.
But they think that just means they do little white lies to get in power, and they might do a few. They don't understand that they've literally changed the narrative and they're indoctrinating your children into a false history.
Yeah. But I'll say it again, those who control the past control the future,
1984. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, well, the whole thing about, especially with, the way that the whole, I've seen a lot of what, Cambell's been putting out with the Tartarian stuff. It's fascinating. That's kind of my current area of fascination. It's like the people that have run, the realm as far as the information goes for however long, like who knows how long really. It starts to fall apart with this sort of stuff. And when you stop subjecting yourself to their information, which is deep, by the way, even like, we know that the technology that we have now isn't necessarily the first time this has been around. It's probably been better before. And I often wonder, like, what kind of light would have been emitted from a screen before? Would it have been liquid crystal? Would it have been something else? And light's embedded with information. I've got this crappy ring light here because I came to some other office, and it's like, there's information coming out of that. I know it's not good because I can just feel it's not right, the sounds that come at us from all kinds of devices, the way music's being corrupted, the way everything's being corrupted, it's like the information is being put out a lot. But what they can't do is change the information that comes from the sun, for example. So then the more I just ignore, like that stuff to me is all background noise these days. A lot of people want to talk to me about, well, what about the vaccines and what about this? And I'm just like, it's just background noise. It's not part of my field of reality. And the more I can just get back to finding things like, what Cambell's doing and just spending time really, really observing and being part of nature, that the rest just kind of doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? It's not so much of the unlearning is starting to ignore that sort of stuff and really looking to explore elements of myself, because I know that everything else is a representation of that. So that's it's been a gift for me anyway, the last couple of years in general with the way the world's gone, but especially being opened up to this, it's been huge for me in my own personal development.
And we're all at home with internet access, so it's a perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, Cambell, I got a question for Cambell, if it's all right. It's just, I don't know, someone can answer it, I don't know. So one of the things that I had, one of the things that led me to really being deep into this is things like the Coriolis effect, and then being able to explain that, right? And then I've gone and listened to a lot of Santos Bonacci's stuff, and I went back to some of his earlier stuff, and I hear him explaining theology and astronomy and that, but based on a heliocentric thing, like he's going, the sun's 93 million miles away, and I'm like, he had stuff right, but was still wrong based on that. Now, one of the things that I haven't heard anyone explain to me yet is that what that macro world is supposed to do is mimic exactly the micro world. So in science, we learned that the distance between an electron and like a nucleus of an atom is the equivalent of 93 million miles. So if you look at like the nucleus and then the thing spinning around it, it's supposed to be in that is a representation of the gap between the Earth and the sun, for example. So when I find out that that's all crap, then I go, well, how does atomics really work? Like, is there a real observable distance between a nucleus and an electron and a proton, for example? Do they orbit in the way that I've learned through science? I've kind of heard Santos touch partly on things because he says all is a tomb, for example, but I haven't really got what I'm trying to do really is just for my own selfish needs is from studying science and studying atoms and molecules and how they bond together, because it's how I explain a lot to do with health, for example, the way the body replicates and atoms and charges and ionics and all that. And I'm just wondering, how wrong is that? And what is an atom and an electron and a proton really? There you go, Cambell.
Just a short question there.
Well, electron, I'm glad you've asked a good question, because luckily, mate, Santos is a good mate of mine. So, as I said, we message each other pretty much every second, third day. And, mate, he'll tell you that the atom is made up of electricity, dielectricity, and electromagnetism. Mm-hmm. The three trinities.
Basically fields. Yeah, when they break down the atom, they break, the smallest part. When they break that down, it's just energy. There's just potential there. But I mean, we don't know. This is the thing. Everything's been changed. So as far as that whole atomic, universe and everything's physical little balls, that's probably not true, or at least not 100% true. Even the double slit experiment and things like this, people are starting to question, because there's the physical world, but we're all taught, or in this sort of field of research, that everything's energy. And so this is the thing. I think everything has, in the double slit experiment, they say that you can observe it as a physical ball, or it can be potential and sort of split up. So I think we can see both, right? If we're living in the physical world, then we tend to see, because that's the expression of the frequency that of the energy, and that's what we're just seeing it in a physical sense, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it's almost like they're both true, but because I think about it a lot with all these psychic channeler type people at the moment. A lot of them are coming out and they're saying very similar things, just not related to each other. They're coming out and saying, there's ships up in the air and all this kind of stuff. And then they all go into, they're coming from Arcturus 20 million miles away. And I'm thinking, well, what's going on here? If is everyone making it up, but they're all making up the same thing? That, there's got to be a message. And I think that it's interpretation. If you think the world is a ball, can you even interpret? Because the message you would receive, it wouldn't be words. It wouldn't be saying this. It'd be like the energy of the feeling. So you would interpret it as your view of the world is. So if you view it as a ball and something has to be 10 million miles away, then that's what you'll see. But when I listen to these, I'm viewing a flat plane and I'm going, oh, so what? Arcturus could be that land mass out there, right? And it's only 10,000 miles away, not 10 million. And so I think it's all we see everything through filters, through perspective. And I think that's a big part of what's going on here.
Yeah, well, mate, if you're studying Santos, mate, it's all blue shift, red shift. And everything that materializes in this realm, it materializes in between the blue and light spectrum. And funnily enough, the chakras materialize between the blue and the red, and that's where you get the infrared and the ultraviolet. And in the Midgard or the midground, that's where we're living, in that part of the atom, and that's the green. That's the green part where we're living, representing the earth or the heart.
Heart, yeah.
You just take that H off the front of the word and you put it at the heart. You take that H off, rearrange it. You get earth and heart. There's all sorts of things like the two ears together. You put them together and it looks like a heart. And in the word heart, in the middle, you have ear.
Yeah, right. I don't know that one.
So you've got earth, and then you take the E off and then the H off, and in the middle you've got art, because it's a work of art.
Yeah.
This creation.
Yeah, and
it's a work of art.
Go into words, and words can be used as swords, and that's what they're doing at the moment. But when it comes to, mate, I just find the all is a tomb stuff, the ancient Egyptians stuff. I think for me, that's where it resonates. The ancients were on track. They knew it all. We've got so much to learn. Like, look at Cambell's research on star forts. For goodness sake, wow. You get some sand and you put it under a frequency, and that sand will create geometric shapes. It's amazing.
The cymatics.
Yeah. And these star forts are shaped like these shapes. And not only that, they've got all their canal systems all intertwined, mate. All their water's being frequencized, like having frequency running through it. They're watering their crops with this water. They're drinking it. They're living for hundreds of years.
That 5 hour series.
Iwa or not. Very good, yeah.
Mate, I think I've done enough there. I had to stop researching there for a good year. I think I was my brain was ready to explode. I had to get off Facebook, get off everything, and it was good. And now I'm just so good to get you boys together, because just some great minds. This is what's going to wake people up, guys. Great chats like this with guys that are obviously intelligent, good at what they do. You can go around all of us and look at what we do. We're not silly people.
No, that was one of the big things for me too.
I could tell you Bill Nye and that other idiot, they are silly people.
Yeah, and you can see it. You can listen to flat earthers and their podcasts and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're clearly intelligent. And then, like you said, you listen to bloody Neil deGrasse Hole, and he's just a buffoon. He's
Nathan Oakley,
yes. 1980.
If anyone who thinks they want to have a crack at debating a flat earth,
good luck with right.
Good luck. Go and debate Nathan Oakley anytime. He'll debate you. You can get on his YouTube channel and you can debate him live, and he will make you feel like an idiot.
Yeah. You won't need a big small ego to do that.
yeah, there's guys out there just ripping it apart, mate. And it's
Even Dave Weiss has been offering, started off with 1 Bitcoin.
Yep.
So, you know, we're talking what, 40, 45 grand, you know, the low point US, and that was about a year ago. And now he's up to 3 Bitcoin for 1 proof. And he hasn't had any takers at all, clearly, you know, clearly. So now he's offering like 100 and what's that for? Yeah, 120 grand or whatever, or more. And no one's stepping up to the, well, not even Neil deGrasse Tyson. None of these guys.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, he's a germ, isn't he? Guy? Far out. I'd love
I
to.
heard that he's the grown-up Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
It's just missing that nice jumper.
Yeah, the sweater.
The fitted sweater. Yeah, classic, man. Well, guys, how long we been going, man?
Yeah, I've got to go soon because I got another appointment at 8:30.
Yeah, cool, guys. Well, I'd like to. I guess we can wrap it up. I'd love to do another one with you, and maybe we could rip something apart a little bit more, go a little bit deeper. I guess it was nice to just have a chat. First time, you know, I've met you, Lucious. Like I said, mate, I know we have common friends and stuff like that. And mate, but it's funny how a lot of musicians, mate, a lot of people who are into music are open to this stuff. It's, you know, a lot of people.
Yeah, because they're sensitive to frequency, because music is frequency, and you know, frequency is truth. So, you know, I've said the same thing. I find it quite ironic that there's quite a few musicians and artists that are really into this topic. You know, they're really into to researching and trying to discover it and dig deeper and see what's there to understand.
And they tend to be less programmed. You know, they tend to have lives a bit more on the fringe of society rather than, you know, committing to the 40-year plan. So they're just more open-minded, I think, artists and musicians and all those, and right-brained, of course, right? The left brain is their control center. So
Very
look at it like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we all know the story of, just before we go, the story of Pinocchio. You know what that's about?
Well, sit on my face and I'll tell you a lie.
Yeah, so it's actually a story about the pineal gland. So the Pinocchio was a book that was written in Italy, and occhio in Italian is eye. So pin is short for pineal and occhio is the eye. So it's a story about the pineal eye and a boy who's seeking the truth. So here we are, we're just seeking the truth, guys. This is about our journey. So yeah, on that note, and a lot of truth in nursery rhymes.
Definitely.
And Tom, just before I go, mate, when you asked me in that last interview we did, mate, about guitars, and you said, how do you construct a guitar to be paid like that you're trying to make it to play in that frequency? I feel I didn't really explain that well enough, and I just wanted to say that, mate, all musical instruments are made to play in 432 hertz, the A.
Yeah, right.
They're not, once you start once you're starting to tune your guitar into 440 hertz, you're tuning your guitar out. So that's what I mean. The music is being disrupted to us. It's being manipulated. That's how they're manipulated, even the fucking musical instruments, bro. You know, they were playing.
Look at the cathedrals, man. They took out all the bells, all the organs. You know, we don't have choirs anymore. They took the heart out, right? The frequency.
Well, you can't sing or dance in the club at the moment anyway, can you? It's like, you know,
mate, you wouldn't catch me dead in a club anyway with those types. So they're probably all jabbed up, idiots.
The places that I play, you know,
just quickly before
types of venues that I play.
Rage Against the Machine, guys.
Oh, I heard, right?
Fucking Rage Against. Let's think about those words.
Yes, sir. I'll do what you tell me.
Machine.
I know. Yes, sir.
Fucking sellouts, mate. They're telling people to get vaccinated, go to their concerts. I hate now. I used to love. I had every album, mate. Just
all of them are doing it. Gene Simmons,
Powderfinger, Australian.
Even not Powderfinger.
Yeah, say it on their website, mate.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah, mate.
Metallica, even Metallica did it, and no one bought tickets, and they had to cancel the show. And of course, they came out and they said, "Oh,
I found it.
People got sick. Yeah, we can't do it."
I found it, pretty disturbing when I looked at the guitarist from Rage Against the Machine, and I saw a couple of his posts, and he likes to show himself in his studio, home studio, jamming along to stuff with his air pilot glasses on that he has on all the time. And he's in his, home studio, and he's playing his guitar, jamming along. But there was a few posts that he did, which I found interesting, because he had his children there, and one of them had a mask on.
Wow.
And these posts always, had him there doing his little guitar thing, but his child was kind of there, with the mask on. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, you're at home, you're in the supposedly the safety of your own home. Why would your child need a mask?
Subliminal messaging.
And I think to myself, is it? I said, is it because, there's a couple of ways I can look at it. It's like, okay, we'll put the mask on so I kind of look like a responsible father or something, or put the mask on because there is a virus, or perhaps he wants to wear the mask because he thinks it's cool. It got me thinking, but I'm kind of thinking to myself, why would you have, your child when you're in the safety of your own home, especially in your home studio, you're jamming along, and he's got the mask on? And that's, to me, it was just total virtual signaling. And, it was all about, what's that?
Maybe he was told to do it. You don't become one of the biggest bands in the world by accident. We all know this, and so you're still in the contract. And so the more that metalhead see stuff, but they're not telling you to wear a mask. It's just there. It's like Tom was saying with your horizon. It just goes into your subconscious, and what they want is over time it'll become more normal to you.
Yeah, well, I just found it fascinating that he would have that sitting right there next to him. This mask continual. It wasn't just one post; it was quite a few. And I was just like, "What are you trying to say here, really, mate? Like, what are you trying to sell, really? Have you been paid or something? Because you're in the safety of your own home. You're not outdoors somewhere. You're not in some other studio in downtown in LA or whatever. You're at home in your own studio. Like, why are you trying to, kind of like, spotlight this? And it's not like
just
it's as plain as day. I mean, I just found it really.
Anyone who's getting that sort of attention, like he does, like Cambell just said, mate, they're there for a reason, mate. And they didn't get there by accident. And now it's their time to play their part.
Yep. That's why all these bands have rolled over, like all the big, that used to be the head of the sort of alternative heavy metal. Oh yeah, we hate authority. They're all rolling over, and they're trying to get their crowds and their fans to go with them.
That's how powerful.
Wasn't it ironic? Wasn't ironic? The dead. I don't know if you allowed the Dead Kennedys, but they had a song called "Government Flu," and I found it ironic that the lead singer Jello was spruiking the jab and trying to sell the jab to all his fans, and tell them to supposedly do the right thing by the narrative and go and get the jab. And but meanwhile, his songs, one of them was "Government Flu," which if you listen to those lyrics, it's like, I don't understand how you could backflip or how you could not,
because they don't write the songs. They don't write the songs. But then it was about creating division. And so to create division, they have to have kids that go against their parents, right? Well, you suck, you're old, yeah, we're the new, oh yeah, rah, rah, rebel. And but they're still just actors. So when the narrative wants to change, they have to follow it. They have to follow their script. And so they don't write the lyrics. They might write a few songs, but they definitely don't write all their own songs.
Oh, that's it, mate. Yeah, that just makes, just on another note, this guy at work, I do a little bit of casual work at a nursery because the guitar world's a bit slow at the moment. But this mate of mine was playing She's Like the Wind, that Patrick Swayze
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves it, right? And anyway, he just said, "Do you know he wrote that?" And straight up, I went, "Mate, there's no fucking way that guy wrote that song." And then, funnily enough, he's on Google and he goes, "Yes, he did. Look, it says written by Patrick Swayze and La La La, whoever the woman was."
Yeah. Give me a word, Patrick. She. Okay, you're a co-author.
Yeah, but yeah, mate, they just like, what was it? Even that George Carlin, that guy, he's dead now, and he
Yeah, yeah.
speaks a lot. Like everyone puts, even a lot of truthers use his stuff out there, mate. He didn't get there by accident either. See, a lot of these people don't realize that all these people in play, like Elon Musk, it's all inverted. Like here he is sending private, people to space, which is total bullshit. And yet then he's taking on the government saying about tax and all this stuff. And then all the people going, "Yeah, Elon's a legend." All these people have double agendas going on, mate. They give you a little bit of the good stuff and and it's like that Russell Brand. Heard of him? That he's an actor. Yeah, that Russell Brand.
Yeah,
You got Russ. He's a Freemason.
Russell Branding.
Yeah. So the amount of times he has, I was following him, and the amount of times that number 33 would come up that he's saying stuff, and then he even did a presentation called 33, and then he tried to say that it was, oh no, that's because Jesus died when he was 33. So anyway, I was just sort of saying, all these people in these limelights, mate, they've all got, they don't get there by accident,
No. Got a broadcast on the television.
Or they're just taking.
I'm gonna head off, guys. Good chat to you.
Yes.
Well,
Thanks,
all right,
Tom.
We'll wrap it up there then, guys, eh?
Cool.
Sounds
Definitely.
good.
Thanks for the
Thanks,
chat.
guys. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thank you for your time, everyone, and I'll be in touch. I'll
Yeah, you too.
all up, and let's do some more vids, guys. Let's just keep, like, if you can, yeah, we'll have another one, and pick an exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know.
And send us an email, Tom, if you need to talk.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Will do.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool.
All right,
See you
guys. Thank you. Have an awesome
All right,
weekend.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll have a good strong end.